Hello, my loves. I'm so excited for this. Hi, my name is Kylie Nell. I am a success and realignment mentor and a trauma-informed energy healer and a rebellious old soul of the internet. And I've made it my mission in this lifetime to help you in your spiritual and healing quest to find and create more success and happiness in the world. And that's a whole damn vibe. I am so excited. Day one of the 111-day quest, mind, body, and soul. This is so incredible because this mind, body, and soul concept came through as a download quite a few weeks ago. And it was very much just this vibe of like, this is going to be something big, it's going to be something great. And as the weeks have passed along, I've gotten this continuous message of just finding your balance, finding your inner alignment, and especially finding the balance between the spiritual realm, the 3D realm, and your healing journey as well, which is very much our mind and our emotions, right? And last night I had this divine download just drop in to be like, you need to start a 111-day quest, and it's going to be the mind, body, soul journey. And here we are. I am super excited to start this. It's such a divine and surreal space to be in, and also just something so from the heart. So this is something that I'm going to be documenting here every day from day 1 through to 111, allowing myself to just riff on the nuggets that came through as I like journal through them as we go through this 111-day process, introduce you to the process itself because that is so powerful, and just share my journey here. And I'm super excited. And I'm super excited to take you on this with me. So like, let's go in. As you know, I'm so candid with my episodes. I truthfully don't like editing them. I'm like real raw as I am here right now, right here. And funny how even finding this 111-day quest and allowing myself to step into this is so powerful. So I want to start with day one, and every day is going to have a theme as we dive in. I invite you to do this with me. If you find me in the beginning, if you find this from pretty much anywhere where we start any of the days, like, I invite you to join this quest with me because it's going to be deep. We're going to allow ourselves to step into our power and potential. Get some water here. So why even the 111-day quest? Like, what's the reason? So it's so beautiful to see that as you're going through your healing and evolving journey, and as you're busy working through things and you're up leveling and you're working on yourself and you're doing all these things, one of the hardest things that I found is myself personally, and I've seen this with like so many of my clients that I work with, and it's a constant struggle I find in this day and age. It's like, how the fuck do you keep the balance? How do you keep the balance? How do you keep yourself sane and on top of all the things? And how do you allow yourself to not have the stop-start effect? Like, we want to keep the momentum towards creating our dream life. We want to keep the momentum towards actually manifesting the things that we desire and going through the healing. And we want to keep that momentum because nothing really breaks your soul more than being on this forward trajectory of going towards something, of working towards something, and suddenly just finding this deep halt have to happen. And sometimes these halts are not, it's like someone just pushes the brakes and you're literally slamming your like forehead against the dashboard of the car, and suddenly you're just stopped in your shoes. And very so often that halt, that stop, happens so abruptly, and it creates such a deep, painful eruption in your soul that you actually don't want to carry on moving forward. And suddenly our mind starts playing tricks on us to be like, is this meant for me? Am I meant to have this life? Like, maybe I'm just not meant to experience, these incredible feelings, or I'm not meant to experience like deep love, or I'm not meant to experience like, having shit ton of money, or like happiness or peace, whatever it is that you're busy working and moving towards, right? And suddenly our mind will try and create these reasons as to why this thing that we so deeply desire is not meant for us. And actually, if we look at it in the soul part, I just had like a download come through. If we look at it, the soul part of it all, like, it's meant for you. We know the saying, like, whatever is meant for you will not pass you. But I believe even before that saying comes in, is whatever is meant for you will drop into your mind. Every dream, desire, thought, wish, anything that you've ever had will, because it is meant for your soul, it is that download came here, that vision that you have of the life that you want to create, of the woman that you want to be, of how you want to show up in the world, like that vision we all have of ourselves. You might find that some of you, that vision is like really dusty and rusty and old, and you need to like get it out and clean it up a little bit and connect back with it. For others, it's like, that vision is like always just sat there in the back of my mind, but it's never really like come to fruition. So it's like you kind of sit in like this sad kind of story of like, it's supposed to happen, but it's not happening, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen for me. And it's because it's meant for you. That vision is greatly meant for you, but life happens in the way. Like life happens, things happen. We live in such a complex and diverse world. Like things happen. Like, that's truly where the saying comes from. Like shit happens. Things really do happen. But more so realizing that, very much so, that as we're evolving and we're healing and we're growing and we're changing and we're going through all these things, that we often then become pulled away from that like initial vision, because we change so much in the process that we lose sight of what does that vision actually look like for me now. So it's interesting because I've been in this space for really long. Like I've been online on the internet doing content, doing this whole entrepreneurship thing and whatnot since like about 2016. And that's a long ass time. That's about like what, 7 years? It's 7 years, 7 full years, which is so interesting. It's a 7-year cycle. 7 full years of doing this online. And I've always found throughout my online process that my vision frequently changed. My vision frequently changed. It frequently updated, evolved, it shifted. And even though I achieved a lot of my goals I set out to, I never felt deeply, inherently satisfied. I always felt like there was still so much that had to happen, that I was just on like the cusp of starting out. I always felt behind. I just felt like it feels like everyone's made it and I'm just constantly on my way. And it got to a point where this year I was like, I don't even know where I'm on my way to. And this truly came from having 2 incredibly interesting experiences. One was we bought our first home, which I'm sitting in the garden with now. As you can see, it's quite exciting. These little blockies here for our dogs so that they don't mess up my garden. Like having dash hounds is not a vibe if you want to keep certain things in the garden intact. So one was finally moving into a house with my husband, and we bought our first home, which was quite big within itself, because I never thought I would anchor my roots or actually buy a house or settle down, which it's intense, but that's a story for another day. And another one was actually making a decision to just go full-time into my own business. And that was quite interesting because for such a long time I didn't feel the confidence to carry my big dream by myself. And it feels even like so confronting saying that here, and I can feel my chest is like, I can't believe you just said that on the internet. But for a long time I felt like I couldn't carry the vision by myself. And as I've gotten to know myself through this healing process, as I've gotten to dive deeper into who I am and what I'm here to do, and understanding like my abilities and my gifts as all the parts that make me me, I remember there was this stark moment beginning of this year where this voice said to me, it was literally in February, this voice said to me, turn 29, which is divine because I'm turning 30 next year, so this quest is like well on its way. As I turned 29, something within me was like, you've got to do this for yourself. You owe it to yourself to do this thing, to go full time, to trust that you can do this, to actually be like, you know what, I'm drawing my line in the sand, and this is the life I want to live, this is the business I want to create. And that took a lot. It took a lot to reach my moment of conviction, to be like, this is the woman that I now want to be. and this is the work that I now want to do, and this is how I want to show up to the world. And so this entire year, I feel, has been like a reintroduction, very much so, into who am I at a soul level? Like, truthfully, who am I at a soul level? And what do I want for my life? And how do I want to live my life? Because throughout my 20s, I very much allowed those decisions to be dictated by external forces outside of me. I was either studying, so I was like in and out of varsity, so there was this string of like, oh, you're going to go full-time into being a psychologist and open up a practice, or like, oh, maybe you're going to make this side hustle work, which my side hustle was like my business that I do now. And then there was a period where I was working for someone else whilst running my business, and I still continue to have this side hustle energy in my passion and in my life. And it was interesting to see how beginning of this year, my guides and like my life's journey was just like, the side hustle era is done. Like, the side hustle era is just completely done. Like, you're not doing that anymore. And I'm actually gonna like write that down in my book. I literally have like my journal here. Like, the side hustle era. Side hustle era. And really being like that side hustle era is now done. And having that moment come in of being like, that side hustle era is now done, it made me deeply realize, well, now it's just me. And now it's about going all in for me and doing this for me, and really asking myself, but who do you want to be at the end of all of this? And so I now want to ask you, like, where are you treating yourself as a side hustle? Where are you treating your own priorities as a side hustle? And it's time for you to really own that and be like, I am drawing my line in the sand. Like, this is actually the life I want to live. And the road to like discovering that life may not be very clear to you. It may not be clear to you who you want to be as a woman, or how you want to like present yourself to the world, or it may not be clear to you how this may unfold. It sure as fuck wasn't clear to me. Like, when I was like, right, I'm going all in on my business, like I am doing this for me, like I am, and funny enough, like going all in, just being like, I am just gonna be me and my business, and like I am committing to this journey, was more an act of self-commitment than anything else. It wasn't even about the business. It was truly an act and such an honorance of just self-commitment, of like, I'm fucking doing this for me. And it's no coincidence, I feel, that I'm turning 30 next year, and that just hit me so hard, where I was like, for much of my life, but very much so for my 20s, because I feel like we truly only start to get the reins of our lives when we start reaching our 20s, not only because of how society works, you know, school and all these things, but also just how we develop, like emotionally and mentally and all these things, and energetically. But I feel like a lot of my 20s was like, that was me plugging and playing into all the places where I could look at like, who do I want to be? What do I want to try and emphasize? Like, where am I going to? And then finally something was just within me where it's like, you just spent a decade. You spent a decade of your life going through the thick of it, going through the experiences that were really fucking hard, repeating patterns that were so self-sabotaging that you had to dig yourself out of, allowing fears and beliefs and things to dictate your reality, like allowing dreams to be parked to the side and then collect dust, and some you threw away and some you tried to dust off and bring back to life. And I was like, I've spent a decade. Like, no more. Like, no more. And literally I have goosebumps as I say this. And that's truly what this like mind, body, soul quest is about. It's a 111-day quest, which is no coincidence, because 111 is 3, and I know. Threes are like my divine number. But to truly sit with this like 111-day quest and be like, you know what? This quest as it is right now is not only going to be something that I now set the intention to as we're opening up this space, and as day 1 goes live, and I can't wait for like day 78, and then like to be like, oh my god, it's day 100, and then it's day 100, and like I can't wait for the build up. But truly just having this quest as being like, this is a space to bring together a culmination of all the work that's been done in a decade, and allowing myself, giving myself that permission slip to be like, it's your fucking time to become the woman you've always wanted to be, to create the life you've always wanted to create, and to find that balance from within, to find your own like mind, body, spirit balance, and to anchor that in. And so I invite you on this journey with me. I'm going to be plugging in here every day. It's my accountability. 111 days, and every day I'm going to be sharing a nugget with you. I'm going to be opening up this journey and truthfully invite you in, because this is going to be one where we're going to get to know ourselves so intimately, but also where we're going to step into creating the best fucking time of our lives, because that's truly what it's about. That's what life is about. I've always felt this in my bones since I was as tiny as kingdom come. I've always felt this truth to my core, that life is meant to be full of bliss and happiness and ecstasy and love, and that we've just created suffering, created hardship, created difficulty, created all these low vibrations as distractions that have taken us away from our truth. And of course there's struggle, there's things that we'll have to white knuckle a little bit and work through, but that's what builds our character and resiliency. And we have to carry on going through those struggles and those hard knuckles and those just difficult patches of life until we learn the lesson. It's truly what it's about. And that's one of the reasons also for this 111-day quest, is for me to learn my lesson of commitment and radical self-discipline. I did a beautiful like soul planner reading with an incredible healer about a month ago, and she actually said to me, she was like, one of your lessons in this lifetime as a human being, which will eventually then become your spiritual gift, is discipline. And I was like, oh, that is fascinating, because I've always had a very like hot cold relationship with discipline, as well as just like how to actually create that balance with discipline, because I have a very all in or nothing like personality, which has been great because it's led me to achieving like big fucking things and really just committing to things before I even felt ready, which is beautiful for my soul. But it's also left a very hot and cold approach where I struggle to activate like my sacred masculine, where I've struggled to really tap into that masculine energy, because I've led myself to burnout, I've led myself to distraction. And so really just realizing that this quest is such a beautiful balance of that masculine and feminine energy and bringing it all together, but also just allowing culmination of everything to be like, it is fucking time. So with that being said, my loves, like, it is time. It is time, it is time, it is time. And that's going to bring us to day 1. And the theme of day 1 is remember your why. You've got to set a why. For your healing journey, for your manifestations, for whatever it is you want to work through, you've got to set your why and remember what it is. Now, for some of us, we make all this like your intention, right? Like, set your intention for this journey, set your intention for what is to come. But it's really a little bit deeper than that. I find that intentions can sometimes be a little bit like, my intention is that I want to like step into my best self ever, and that I want to, you know, become the best version of me. And I'm like, but what's your why? Why the fuck are you doing this? Because when you come down to your why, and I've got like 5 codes that I want to share with you that's dropped in as I was journaling. The first thing that popped in for me is like, when you connect to your why, it's a deep soul reason of, why are you actually doing this? Why are you doing this? When you really tap into that why, the first thing that came up for me is that like, it keeps you free from distractions. So I literally did a tarot reading last night when the idea came through for doing like the mind, body, soul quest. And I did a tarot reading last night. How cute is my husband's like Deadpool? He keeps moving it all over the garden, so it's like kind of like a surprise wherever it is. It's such a vibe. And when I actually like connected to when I did like the card reading last night, that's where I was at. ADHD, gotta focus. When I did my card reading last night, that was one of the things that came up for me, was the 10 and the 4 of swords. And the immediate message was like, you've got to keep yourself free from distractions. And that's what our why really does. Your why allows you to and keeps you free from distractions. And this really goes into then like the second code of, it's your soul's way of communicating the golden thread to you. And that golden thread keeps you on your path, free from distractions. It's important to realize that as much as we are spirit, as much as we are soul, we have chosen a human experience. And we cannot dismiss, we cannot bypass our humanness. And part of our humanness is those distractions. It's seeing things, it's seeing that shiny object syndrome of being like, ooh, maybe I should rather do this, or ooh, maybe I should, they're doing this right now and it seems like that's working for them, maybe I should switch like my methodology and rather do that. Or like those distractions of like when you're supposed to do something and just take your phone and suddenly you go on like a swipe fucking parade and you're just like scrolling all the time. It's happened to me so often where I literally go, especially on Instagram, I literally go on Instagram because I'm like, ooh, I wonder like if what I said in that story, because I channel all my content, so sometimes I'm like, ooh, I wonder what I said in this post in the story, because I want to expand on this. And then I open the app and then suddenly like all these distractions come flooding, and then I find myself scrolling so much that I later forget like, where was I even in the first place? Like, what was I doing here? Free yourself from distractions by remembering your why. Anchor into your why. Set a why for yourself, for your healing journey. If you're doing this like mind, body, soul quest with me, set your why for it. Like, why do you want to get to know yourself? Why do you want to find this balancement within you of who are you at like a physical level in the 3D world, but how do you balance that with like your mindset, your emotions, and your healing journey through also being a spiritual person? Like, there's a reason you were called to this trinity to find that balance. So set your why. When you sit into your why and you know what your why is, it's a lot easier for you to then also differentiate between what is for me and what is not for me, which is the core of a distraction. A distraction is what is not for you, what is not meant for you. It's taking you away from your truth. It's taking you away from your path, from your timeline. And we live in a very distracted world. And it's not to say it in a negative sense, to be like, oh, our world, no. It's purely just to note the obvious, that as human beings, we've created a lot of distractions. As human beings, we've created a lot of distractions for ourselves to take us away from our core focus. So it's about like, okay, remembering your why. Like, what is your why? Come back to that truth. When you remember your why, you make it really easy for yourself. I actually want to write that down as well. That's such a beautiful like nugget. When you remember your why, you make it easy for yourself. There. You remember your why, you make it easy for yourself. So our third code for remembering your why, as you connect into this, and this is important to note, I just want to say this before I move into the third code, is that your why will be absolutely perfect as you channel it through. It'll be absolutely perfect as you channel it through. Sometimes I find that, especially if we like, and you can let me know what your why is in the comments below, like whenever you start this journey, because I'm going to be doing this journey often, so I know this is going to be in the ethers and it's going to be floating around for quite some time. When you remember your why, you not only free yourself from distractions, but also, it's important, this is what I wanted to say, when you remember your why, it's important to realize that it doesn't have to be like anyone else's. However it channels through for you is absolutely perfect. Whether your why is like a 2-page essay. Whether your why is a sticky note or a post-it note that you put against the mirror and you read that every morning and it's like a one-liner or it's a word. Maybe your why is a word. Maybe it's a novel. Maybe it's just a caption. Whatever your why is absolutely perfect. And part of trusting how your why wants to unfold for you. Maybe your why is creating like a Pinterest board and revisiting that every month. Whatever your why is absolutely perfect for you. So find a way for you to connect with it, a way that feels significant to you, a way that allows you to express. Mine's through words and writing. So I journal and I write. But understanding and also realizing that however your why comes through for you is absolutely perfect. So the third code is realizing that your why fuels your momentum. If you ever felt like you were out of gas towards like reaching a goal or moving through something really hard, and you're like trying to heal from a trigger, or you're moving through something and like you just suddenly feel so gassed, it's probably because you've forgotten your why. When you remember your why, it fuels your momentum, because it's in those moments where you're like, I don't know if I can go, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know what's gonna happen. Or when you start, like when you feel the doubt come in, or suddenly like the big picture feels just way too fucking big and you can't even see it all. It's in those moments when you remember your why that you then feel that momentum to continue. And then the beautiful thing is that this is the fourth code, is when you have your why to feel your momentum, your why also allows your motivation to climax. Your why allows your motivation to climax. It sounds like such a vibe. Like, who doesn't love a good climax, right? Like, your why is the climax to your motivation. It allows your motivation to climax, because motivation gets a lot of foreplay leading up to the start of the process, but diminishes thereafter. Like when we're leading up to the process of wanting to start something, of, you know, evolving into the best versions of ourselves, we're leading up to the process of becoming that woman that you've always wanted to be, whatever goal you've had, like how motivated have you felt leading up to that process, right? Like there's such deep motivation, like I'm gonna fucking do this, I'm gonna get all the things. You feel this fire in your belly, like already, and then something happens that like brings you to that halt that we spoke about, and you're just like, why even bother? Like, this is disrupting my peace. This is not what I saw it as. This is not the timeline I wanted it as. Like, why even bother? If you remembered your why, you would bother. Your why feeds your motivation. It feeds your motivation. It allows that motivation to climax so that it can actually reach a point of like, oh, this is why I'm doing it. Like, even now, getting goosebumps saying that, I'm like, oh, this is why I'm doing it. Because I cannot wait to see who I'm going to be on the other side of this 111-day quest. Because I know it's going to literally rock me to my core and bring me back to my authentic truth. So remember your why. And then the fifth code is that your why. Ooh, no, here we go. Here's the fifth code, because I switched the last two around. Your why opens up your awareness to your field of what's been happening, what's serving you, and what isn't. It seeds your awareness. So your why seeds your awareness. It fuels your momentum, and it allows your motivation to climax. Like it's, yes, but of course. So realizing that the moment you're connected to your why, you're also going to naturally become more self-aware, because you can then actually realize and see like, oh, this is why I'm going this way. This is why my journey is sit here. Like this is my deep fucking soul intention of what I want to experience and why I'm doing this. And then suddenly you can actually start to connect to that higher conscious self. This is where the spirit comes in. You're able to connect to that higher conscious self. You're able to connect to your vision. And because you're able to connect to that vision, it's also a lot easier for you to see like what's serving you and what isn't. Like, it's so funny, as I've been connecting to this why, I had a moment with my mentor over the weekend where I sent her a voice note, and I was like, you know what, I can just feel the self-sabotage cycle that I need to end. And I was just like, I can just feel that this like cycle of self-sabotage of not allowing myself to step into my full potential, like I'm not allowing myself to access like my absolute core, like divine masculine energy. I keep like blocking myself from that energy. I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you holding yourself back? And I was like, this is in my field. I need to move this. Like, I notice this pattern coming up every time I get passionate about something. I literally cannot hold it. There's a lesson here for me to master. And suddenly something that became such a fear for me of like, ooh, like feeling scared to commit to big dreams, feeling scared to go all in big dreams. Because I'm like, what if I burn out? What if I get disappointed? Like all these old narratives and old experiences I had. I now suddenly have such a different angle on something that used to hold me back and create so much doubt and like resistance, and like this is like keeping me away from my like dream life, my big dream, and who I want to be, but like it's gotta fucking move. Suddenly this thing it's no longer a mountain, it's actually just like a molehill, because I can see exactly what it is, inside to out, back to front. I'm like, you are literally, this is a cycle that I've repeated so often, but I'm like, I understand why. I can see the layers to why I repeated this cycle. So now suddenly, even during this 111-day quest, I'm bringing so much compassion to that self-sabotaging cycle I had, because I'm like, I can see you for what you are, and I want to move you, because we have bigger things to do. Like, we have bigger things that we want to accomplish. We have a more like deeper like life we want to experience. Like, this needs to move. And funny enough, now today I sat and I whipped out my calendar and I was like planning things, and like something just shifted within me, even just from that realization in my field of self-sabotage. Something shifted within me, because I'm like, I now understand and I can hold space for this, but I can also choose better. So when you know your why, you're able to seed your awareness, because you can differentiate, like, is this for me, or is this just like old parts of me that are feeling fear, or feeling shame, or feeling like, I already said fear, feeling fear, or feeling shame, or feeling doubt. Like, are these just lower vibrations that need to shift? So beautiful. I'm so excited for this journey. So I wanted to read my why here to end off. My why for this 111-day quest: to bring a culmination of everything that has happened throughout my life and over the past decade of decisions, and finally bring it together to cultivate the vision I've always had for myself. It's to honor the work, honor the journey. It's to bring mastery to one of the biggest lessons for this lifetime: self-discipline. This journey is here to allow me to deeply connect to my inner self and being, to develop deeper self-trust and confidence, to get to know myself and my edges in this new version of me. So much has evolved, shifted, and changed, and to be able to deeply sink my claws into becoming her, the woman I've always wanted to be. And that's like really just what I can see is my why: to sink my claws into who I've always wanted to be, and just allow myself to transparently and fully be and become her past her insecurities, to become her in how she sees herself, fulfilling her work in this world. Like, it's a whole damn vibe. And I'm like, I can't wait. So my loves, I am so excited. If you're joining me for this 111-day journey, let me know. If you're joining it as I've just posted this video, let me know in the comments below. If you're catching this after it's been posted for a little bit and it's been floating in the ethers, let me know as well that you're on day 1 of your 111-day mind, body, soul quest. And with that, I will see you for day 2. Bye for now.